D&D is so fun, but sometimes it can be overwhelming, especially if you have a busy life outside of the game. So today we're going to talk about session prep with no time. Welcome back to How to Be a Better DM. This is the show for dungeon masters who try to create the most amazing homebrew games, but also have a life, right? You also have a job, family, children, maybe, and other responsibilities. And this show is designed to help you tell better stories for yourselves and your players as you dungeon master games for your friends without losing everything else in your life. So, I'm your host, Justin Lewis. I've been doing this for 3 years or so, 3+ years. I'm a professional dungeon master, kickboxer, that's a lie, and I'm a father. And as you can see, as you can hear, my kid is in the background. He has stuff to say too, so you might hear from him now and then. For those of you who are new to the show, we have recently lowered our level of production just to make sure that we can make the show as consistent as possible and still keep putting out content without stopping, because frankly, we like to do this. So today we're talking about session prep with no time.
I want to be quiet.
Okay, so we're going to talk about a few things that you'll need to know, do, or have when you do session prep with no time. First thing is you do need to adjust your expectations. You've probably been comparing your games, at least somewhat, to all the actual play shows out there. And if you haven't, then that is a huge, huge advantage for you. Frankly, none of us should compare it to those. But you also have probably created some expectations in your own mind of what D&D is, of what your games are. And it's possible that those might need to change. I know in my own case, as I've had to shift more towards a less prep mode, I've had to be comfortable doing more improv, right? I've had to adjust my game to the understanding that I am going in specifically with less prepared, and that I have less planned moments. And I had to get comfortable with a loss of control, really, and this understanding that the story was just going to be what it was, And so when you do session prep with less time, that means you're going to do less session prep, necessarily. There's going to be less planning. There's going to be less forethought. And you need to get yourself comfortable with that. And you also need to change your expectations around surprises for your players and how involved your players are going to be. And that actually leads me to number 2, which is you need to get inside your players' minds. And this lesson was actually taught to me by one of my current professional dungeon mastering groups, Jared White and his group. Shout out to you guys. But we started up games, and almost every time, every week there would be a game. In the same week, they would do what's called a D&D happy hour, which basically is just like a hangout where everyone kind of comes and talks about the game. And, it's really fun because you just hang out. But also, when I am able to attend, they are able to ask me questions about the game, and I'm able to ask them questions specifically about their plans, what they're going to do moving forward. And that helps me prepare, right? It helps me start thinking about some things. And it's wildly valuable because you see some of the curveballs coming up. Obviously, this doesn't prepare you for everything. There have been many times where the group has said they were going to do something specific, and then they never did that thing and immediately did something else that takes the story in a different direction. But what matters is you start to get inside their head and understand how they think, which is important because you start to be able to anticipate some of the weird choices they make. It's honestly one of the best things you can do, specifically talking to your players. And I don't know why we don't do this naturally, right? It's obvious advice. I think it has something to do with this idea that we want to be surprised by our players and we want to surprise our players. But when you are doing session prep with no time, you have to involve your players tremendously in it. Sometimes you need to outsource stuff directly to your players, NPCs, things like that. But you need to understand that the amount of surprises that happen is still going to be there, but because you're not able to prepare for everything, you need to lower that as much as possible. Number 3 is honestly a tool. And this tool is one that I love using. It's WorldSmith. I know that they're a sponsor of our show, and you guys should definitely go and sign up for them. But actually, I love the tool, and also I love the guys who make the tool. They're super cool. We did a panel with them at FanX where it was like an actual play, but the audience was able to participate by generating the stuff that we dealt with when we were playing. It was really fun. Super fun idea too. And the reason why I like WorldSmith is because it allows you to generate the stats for monsters and things, even traps, almost at a moment's notice. And this takes a lot of the pressure off of me because I don't need to know the monsters. I don't need to have everything planned. I can react to what my players want to do, or even to some really interesting ideas I have in the moment. Honestly, and it even helps with NPCs as well. I find WorldSmith to be very valuable. If you are interested in signing up for WorldSmith, you can go to sessionzerostudios.com/WorldSmith. Sign up for a free trial. Check it out yourself. See what you think. Again, it is one of my tools that I use every single session. And, you might have different thoughts about generative tools, but when it comes to zero prep sessions, you need to lower the bar for kind of your stand. And that sounds so bad, but what I mean is we're here to have fun, right? And that means you get whatever tool helps you and your group have as much fun as possible with as little stress as possible. So if you don't like tools like WorldSmith, well, great. That's where you use other tools. In fact, number 4 is you should find a repository of maps. And this kind of continues along the vein of tools where, there was a video done by Matt Colville. Basically, when you are creating encounters, you find a map that speaks to you, that sparks some sort of inspiration, and then you use it. Use that inspiration. And the best way to do that is if you have a repository of maps. So the tool that I use for making maps is called Dungeon Alchemist. I backed them on Kickstarter years and years ago. It's really good. It's fun. It's on Steam. And it actually, you can browse pre-made maps on there to save yourself some time. You can also just search on Pinterest. You can search on Google. If you really want to, you could use ChatGPT to make your maps. I'm not super confident in that, but if you want to try it, you can. The idea is you find a map that speaks to you, right? And now we're getting into the portion of zero time session prep with zero time, where you start doing work that can apply to more than one session, right? So you sort of, how do I say this? It's like 1 hour for multiple sessions, maximize your effectiveness, okay? So you get this repository of maps that you can find maps at a moment's notice for what you need. Because I'm almost out of time, I'm going to skip to the next part. And that is number 5, transposable material. You need to find as much material that you can transpose from session to session, changing minor things here and there. Again, making it so one half hour of work creating something is able to be used in multiple sessions, maximizing your effectiveness and just being as optimized as possible. Did I use enough buzzwords there? I think I missed the word synergy. We need to synergize. But for example, there are these books that you can get at pretty much anywhere. They're like the Dungeon Master's books of blank. So the Dungeon Master's book of traps, the Dungeon Master's book of encounters, of NPCs. These are tremendous resources. Roll and Play, which is another one of our sponsors. You can go to sessionzerostudios.com/roll-and-play and get their Dungeon Master Toolkit, which has, a name, a way to kind of generate names without using ChatGPT. These are all awesome tools because it allows you to have this kind of repository of stuff you can just pull out and fit into your game. And it's nice because they aren't tied to anyone's storyline. They are pretty customizable or easily tied into what you're doing. I would even suggest you can make your own, right? You can make your own repository of NPCs, of encounters. I would also say, when it comes to transposable material, create some sort of list of game mechanics that can be transposed. So in different situations, you can, when a player wants to do something and you're like, wow, this would be actually fun if it had a little bit more involved game mechanics rather than just a skill check, create a list of game mechanic scenarios you could use and be able to transpose those. And that will make it so when you're in the game, you don't necessarily need to do as much session prep, because when your players want to do something, you can just pop it in right there. You already got it. So that's number 5. That's it for me today. That's what I'm done. So to recap, number 1, adjust your expectations. Number 2, get inside your players' minds. Number 3 is WorldSmith. Number 4 is repository of maps. And number 5 is transposable material. Again, thank you so much for listening today. Merry Christmas to those of you who celebrate. For those of you who don't celebrate, I hope you guys have a wonderful and bright winter, and you're able to connect with family and find things that you love and find joy in. I hope your games are magical, even if you don't have as much time to prepare for them. And if you like to support the podcast, obviously you can go to sessionzerostudios.com/worldsmith and sign up. We love those guys. They're such an awesome team, and we want to see them succeed. You can also go in the show notes, and there's lots of links down there. More than anything, we just hope you and yours have a great season, and your games are filled with light, love, and laughter. We hope for the best for you, and during these dark winter times, find the light and find the ways to share it with others, and we can all get through the dark seasons in our lives much better. But hoping and praying for you. Thank you so much. We'll be back next week with another handcrafted episode. Until then, let's go ahead and roll initiative.